Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am KHOUASS Abdelkader, PhD student. Today, I present for you my research multifacets contract for modeling and verifying heterogeneous systems. It is made in collaboration between University of Nantes in France and University of Tlemcen in Algeria. I am attached to the Laboratory of Digital Science of Nantes (LS2N) and Computer Research Laboratory of Tlemcen. The context of my work concerns the component-based software engineering, which consists in using a modular approach of a computer system architecture, thus ensuring a better readability and maintenance of the software instead of creating a monolithic executable by the developers. They use various components. These components could be reusable. The reuse policy is based on COTS, components off the shelf, which are components developed and stored on the shelves for use. These components are developed in a specific environment and language. When they are reused in another system, they may have the same language and the same environment, but often that system is developed in a different environment and with a different language from the components, which makes our system heterogeneous. My topic concerns more specifically the modeling and verification of heterogeneous systems. We call heterogeneous system a system whose components are numerous, varied in nature, not only hardware or software, but various types of components, softwares, software models. The heterogeneity is not only syntactic, it is also related to the semantic models of components. And like other computer scientists, we are also concerned to prove that the system is correct. We have addressed different problems in this work. The first problem is the components are coming from different languages and cover different facets, so the composition is not straightforward. We need to put the components in certain form so that they could be composed. This means the need for normalization. Second, the global properties are heterogeneous. They need to be clearly expressed, integrated, and analyzed. Therefore, we need a sufficiently expressive language. After that, during the composition, we must preserve the local requirements. And the last problem is the need of heterogeneous formal analysis tools. In order to meet the requirements, we will use these concepts to achieve our solution. First, a well-structured or normalized component is a component that has a generalized contract, acting as its interface with other components. Normalizing a component C consists in transforming it into a component equipped with a generalized contract. Secondly, we will use the PSL language as a wide expressive we will use PSL as a wide expressive language to express the generalized contracts. The generalized contract is an extension of traditional contracts structured on the one hand with its assume and guarantee parts, and on the other hand with different clearly identified facets, such as the data facets, time, security, etc. In order to model and verify a heterogeneous system from a set of specifications, we are looking for a rigorous and systematic method. It means in the form of steps. We follow step by step to get the results. This method must be efficient. It helps to reduce the difficulty of building and analyzing heterogeneous systems. I will now briefly present the main steps of our method. First, we compose components in a particular shape to make easier the assembly and verification. It means the composition of normalized components only. Second, we decompose the properties with respect to the identified and agreed upon facets, and distribute them along the analysis of the assembled components. We could reuse or build the needed components. Then, the components will be manipulated through their generalized assume and guarantee contract. After that, we may weaken or strengthen the requirements according to the global properties. Next, we add a priority for each facet to improve the verification of the system. And finally, we target different analysis tools according to the facet to answer the overall consistency. With all these elements, we were able to develop a global modeling and verification method called minarets. Here is the structure of a heterogeneous system according to our method. A heterogeneous system is composed from normalized components. Each normalized component has a behavior and a generalized contract. A generalized contract has assumptions and guarantees. After that, we find facets in the assumptions and guarantees, and each facet has a priority. Summary of our minarets method organized with this graph. There are 5 main steps: modeling, creation of the generalized contract and normalization, verification of individual components if possible, because sometimes we don't have the appropriate tool or the component to be verified needs the composition with its environment. For that, we translate the component and compose it with the system, and then we verify it. I do not have enough time to explain all the steps, but I will explain the main ones. For example, in step 2, we formalize the global properties with the expressive language PSL. After that, in the step 3, we select existing components or model new ones using, for example, UPAL, Promela, or other tools. If I choose another example, in step 4, we decompose the global properties according to the facets to get the generalized contract. After that, we structure these formal properties with PSL in step 4 and distribute them on each adequate component to get the normalized component. Finally, in step 11, we compose the components and verify them in step 13. The composition here is the parallel composition of label transition system LTS, and the verification is made by facets from the primary facet to the secondary one. From the case studies that we experimented our method, the painting workshop. The painting workshop is composed from three components: the control station that controls the painting process, the robot painter, and the painting station where the cars are painted. These components communicate to do the painting process, and each one has inputs and outputs. We will see the next slides the illustration we will see in the next slides the illustration of the main steps. After the specification of the system and formalization of properties in the first steps, here in the third step of modeling, we choose to model the component control station with Promila language and the robot painter and painting station with UPAL. And in the step 4, we decompose the global property according to the identified and agreed upon facets to get the generalized contract. After that, in the step 5, we structure the formalized facets using PSL. Next, in the step 6, we normalize the individual components. It means we integrate the assumption and guarantees of each individual component. After that, we attribute a priority to each facet to obtain order layers with respect to facets. We could verify our system. First, we need to compose the component control station, which is modeled with Promila, with the other components modeled with UPAL. That's why we use our translation algorithm to get the composed system with UPAL as mentioned in the figure. The figure 6 presents the composed behavior. No, in the figure 6, there is the composition of the component behavior with UPAL. This experimentation was conducted in order to improve our method. We have considerably detailed the steps of the method when thinking thoroughly about its applicability through the case study. Despite the success of applying in preliminary trivial exercises and on this case study and the reproducibility of the steps, it appears that more tool assistance is needed to guide the users. The experimentation, even if not yet scalable to industrial cases, give the opportunity to tune the method steps and design some translators to help in modeling and verification. We are aware of the impact of treated facets on interactions between various tools, but more lessons from various case studies will help to promote good practices through tools. We have proposed the Minarets method for complex and heterogeneous systems modeling and analysis. It is based on an extension of the traditional contracts, resulting in generalized contracts. used as standard interfaces between components. Generalized contracts are structured with several facets depending on the concerns or the properties that we are dealing with. Minaret emphasizes the stepwise composition of heterogeneous components through their generalized contracts. We have shown how one can reduce the complexity of the global modeling and the global analysis of complex and heterogeneous systems. Our future work addresses not only the scalability but also the study of various policies for, for the composition of contracts. It is important to verify the components composition as we done through the used tools, but to improve the method we are defining in a formal way the semantic of parallel composition and other components types of our normalized components. This will furthermore strengthen the foundation of the proposed method and enable the contract management tool construction. Thank you for your attention.